I got Emacs Pinky, but it wasn't from Emacs. It was from World of Warcraft because every character has like 20 spells and my fingers can only reach 1 through 6. So I've got to add modifier keys to get there. Shift was natural, and then Control was a little tougher, but also fairly natural. Eventually, you start to feel the strain in your pinky.
Yeah, because mine's not super strong, so I'm just not cut out for this.
That's the thing, right? Like, and that's how Emacs does everything. Everything is Control or Alt.
It is. Yep, very much so.
Or like a combination. Actually, mostly it's a combination of the two.
Usually.
So like we make fun of VI all the time about like how hard it is to quit.
Exit? Yeah, exit. You have to do two keystrokes twice.
Yeah, so what it's Control X, Control C, or Control C and Control X?
Yeah, I forget now too, but it's two keys. It's two keys.
Yeah,
twice. Coming up in this episode, we've got some network failures, got some gaming wins, we get Emacs Pinky, and a little browser watch, and we get a little bit manipulative. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of Linux User Space. I'm Dan.
I'm Leo. Dan. Little power outage, hey?
Yeah, so like I had a little one of those power outages that was like a half on, half off sort of and it kept, kind of coming on and off kind of.
Oh, brownout style.
Brownout.
Not quite gone, but not. Oh.
Well, anyway, it caused a corruption on my pfSense box on the drive. It's like when I got home, like my wife was railing about the fact that the lady cylinders in the house were not able to turn off all the lights because all of the lights in the house were on, and she wanted to turn them off.
Everybody tiptoes around it, but I'm not going to do it. Alexa, what is Emacs? There you go. I hope that is a good introduction to the episode.
Absolutely. When that's done. No, so that was a problem because, the network didn't come back after the little outage. And so I had no idea what was going on with my router. I couldn't connect to it, obviously. So I had to rip the monitor that is right here in front of me right now off of my computer and take it into the living room where the router is and hook it up. I hit the power button on again and it starts to boot up and I'm like, oh, cool. And it does a disk check and it says, disk looks okay. I'm like, yes. And so then it just reboots and then it just keeps doing that over and over and over again.
So the disk is fine, but the data.
The data, something happened to it. Not sure. Probably the on and off was enough to cause some corruption, obviously.
That's it. Brownouts are worse than blackouts, I assume, just simply because I've had plenty of those. We never talked about them on the show, really, but one of the episodes that we had to record, maybe it was like episode 4.
Yeah.
We had to postpone because I just didn't have any power. Like almost the whole day, just didn't have it.
Right.
So, and I think those are better, right? Because, as far as power cut, there's no weird.
You can run around and unplug things so they don't get into that weird state when it comes
back.
Right.
You don't end up with not enough or too much voltage. It's just no voltage.
Yeah.
So,
This was a very sudden thing. There was a storm in the area, which is kind of unusual for this time of year, but like it was the right conditions, very damp, very, thunder, lightning, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so would you say it stole your thunder?
Yeah, it did. Wow. Stole my internet thunder anyway. So obviously at this point I've got to reinstall, the whole system. And I do have backups. Like that's not a thing that I don't have. However, I did not have a current OS. Like, so, like, I didn't have a thumb drive with the pfSense, like, on it. Maybe I should do that. Anyway, so I connect my laptop into the modem, download, I'm like bare internet at this point on my laptop.
Ooh,
yeah, I know.
Turn on that operating system level firewall at this point.
I have
folks.
UFW on it because I do take it out in the public, right?
Nice.
So I have UFW. I'm good there. So I'm downloading pfSense onto the thumb drive, and then I got to go load it into the system, which doesn't take a real long time, but it's all starting to add up. Like, I mean, the clock is ticking here, and I'm already into the evening and dinner time and past dinner time and all of that at this point. And so I get that on there, and then I can do the restore from my backup, which that goes pretty smooth. But like,
you just upload the little tiny text file, and it's like, hey, cool, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's an XML file, and it does all its thing, and then lo and behold, the internet's back. So everybody's happy at that point. We can start streaming, all of the video services, and the lady can turn the lights on and off and all of that good stuff.
And she can define what Emacs is now.
Absolutely. And, give us the weather for tomorrow so that we know if more thunderstorms and stuff are coming.
That's right. That's right.
So, but like, you add all of that time up, and it was a couple of hours probably.
Yeah.
And at least a few hours. And, backups are great, but they don't come back in an instant. The time to recovery it is what it is, but it's something to think about when you decide to self-host or host anything, for your job. It has to be considered.
Well, I think about that too, right? Like, what would somebody do if their router that is not self-hosted is just a off-the-shelf thing?
It's the same thing. Yeah.
You have to go to the store and buy a whole new one. I think in your case, it was actually a benefit to have self-hosted because nothing actually went wrong. But how easy is it to go reinstall corrupted data on a like little ARM box Netgear or something or other? You would have way more pain in that situation than you would have had you been self-hosting like you do. So, I mean, hey.
Like, I was ready for it. So that was good. But yeah, no, it still took time. Like it's still not instant. And unless you have, 2 internet connections and high availability and all of that,
Man,
then
I wish.
Yeah, I mean, most people at home don't have that. So, I mean, unless you had that, then it's not, it's not going to be an instant.
Yeah, so now that you have all the internet back, you can download some games again.
And I've been playing some games on my Steam Deck, so that was another reason. Like, this ate into my game time, which that probably irritated me more than anything.
Yeah.
So I've been playing Splitgate, which is it's a game. You can get it on Steam. Okay. I'll have a link in the show notes.
Let me look at this. Oh, very positive.
So very positive. Deck verified. Works great on Linux, works great on, other operating systems too. It's a fun game. So it's a multiplayer first person shooter, but you got
let's check. We got Splitgate is a free to play, fast paced multiplayer shooter that features player controlled portals.
Yes,
the sci-fi shooter takes the
cool
FPS
part.
genre to a new dimension with its portal mechanics. So portals as in like Portal, the game portals.
I guess so. Like, so you've got these, I guess you call it like a glass. It looks like a glass sort of thing, like a frosted glass. And so you can direct where you want your portal to come out and where you want it to start. And they're all throughout the whole maps. And then so you can just kind of like teleport from one zone to the other zone in the same map. But the other cool thing that you can do is you can just look into the portal and like you can kind of hunt your opponents.
Tactical portals.
And you can shoot through the portals and, but they can shoot you back too. But I mean, they don't see you. Unless you come through the portal. So
that's if they're smart enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they got, deathmatch and capture the flag and all of that stuff, right? So it's pretty fun. And it's great on the deck. It's probably one of the best games I've got going on the deck, honestly.
That's one of the things, I don't have a deck. So
But you can play this on Linux. You can totally play this on your desktop. My son plays it on his desktop, and he says it works quite well there. So
Okay. Well, Linux first. I can take that.
if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, do it now while we have you distracted. And don't forget, you can watch us live on Twitch the day after an episode drops. If you like what we're doing on the show, you can support us at patreon.com/LinuxUserspace.
In 1963, at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Dan Murphy had done it. A text editor and programmed to write other programs that could run on the Digital Equipment Corporation's PDP-1. It was called TECO, the Tape Editor and Corrector. Later on, it would be known as the Text Editor and Corrector. According to Murphy, punched paper tape was the only medium for the storage of program source on our PDP-1. There was no hard disk, no floppy disk, no magnetic tape or network. And well, the TECO, at the time, was pretty good at editing text. TECO was developed with extensibility in mind using those same small programs called macros. The programs would search and change text based on what macro was in use, and it was very, very good at searching. This was made necessary as the expensive typewriter or flexowriter printouts had no line numbers. This meant context was the only way to find and correct mistakes on the storage tape. In 1965, TECO 6, compatible with the PDP-6, brought with it visual editing, headed up by Richard Greenblatt, Jack Holloway, and Stuart Nelson. In 1972, TECO was ported to the PDP-10 by Carl Mickelson with the help of Richard Greenblatt. It had almost 400 macros run by commands that would need to have been memorized or looked up. In 1976, Fred Wright's E editor out of the AI lab of Stanford University implemented WYSIWYG editing. You saw what was in the file as you typed it. At this time, Richard Stallman took a vacation to Stanford University. He looked at Fred Wright's E editor and decided that TECO needed it. But soon after returning to MIT, Stallman found that Carl Mickelson had created Control-R, a similar feature to E's WYSIWYG editor. However, it only used 5 lines of the screen, which made it inefficient. Stallman rewrote the macro to use the entire screen. Another standout feature of E was that it could also write anywhere to the file, as opposed to TECO's sequential editing. But instead of copying E's ability to put a file on disk in a way that allows for random reads and random writes, Stallman's effort simply read the entire file and any edits into a single buffer. As impressive as these features, command sets, and macros were, they weren't the only sets floating around. The TECO hacker environment was getting a little cluttered. TACMac, TMacs, RMod, doc, and macros all did amazing things, but gradually, it happened. Guy Steele called it a Tower of Babel effect. One hacker, sitting at another hacker's terminal, would spend most of their initial time figuring out what macros were bound to what functions. It was time to bring things back together again. Guy Steele began the process, and after dealing with Richard Stallman looking over his shoulder, he asked him to help tackle the problem. Steele said, "I did the first 0.001% of the implementation, and Stallman did the rest." Once finished, it was named Emacs by Stallman, short for editing macros. The macros part of the name was natural, but the E was chosen simply because the incompatible time-sharing operating system at the time didn't have many programs starting with E. Wanting to keep things open, but also wanting to avoid the Tower of Babel effect, Stallman added a line to the source code of Emacs. You were free to modify and redistribute the code, only on the condition that you gave back any extensions made. The acceptance of these terms meant that you were joining the Emacs commune. There were many Emacs before Stallman and Steele's version. In 1976, Ein, which stands for Ein is not Emacs by Dan Weinreb. And in 78, Multics Emacs by Bernie Greenberg, written in MacLisp, and Zwei, which stands for Zwei was Ein initially, by Dan Weinreb and Mike McMahon. But one version of Emacs, Gosling Emacs for Unix by James Gosling, also called GosMacs or GMacs, released in 1981, changed the course. Stallman claims that he had gotten permission to reuse the code from Gosling's Emacs, as initially, Gosling permitted unrestricted redistribution to those that helped, which led him to reuse some of the code. In 1983, Stallman had taken on another challenge, the GNU project. GNU stands for GNU's Not Unix. It's a free software collaborative project which was meant to give users unprecedented freedom over code that runs on their computer. You can run the GNU software, copy it, distribute it, read the source code, and modify it. Thus, Stallman's Emacs became GNU Emacs, and the free software movement was started. In 1985, on March 20th, GNU Emacs 13 was released as its first public showing. The next month, on April 10th, Emacs 15.10 was released, but not long after, a company called UniPress that had begun to distribute and sell Gosling's Emacs on UNIX and VMS back in '83 said that Stallman never received the unrestricted redistribution promise and should cease distribution of GNU Emacs immediately. Stallman couldn't find the email from Gosling that mentioned his rights to redistribute, and that gave UniPress the upper hand. So Stallman set about rewriting any and all GosMacs code. In a more recent interview in 2013 via Slashdot, Richard Stallman said, "The last piece of GosMacs code that I replaced was the serial terminal scrolling optimizer. A few pages of Gosling's code, which was preceded by a comment with a skull and crossbones, meaning that it was so hard to understand that it was poison. I had to replace it, but worried that the job would be hard. I found a simpler algorithm and got it to work in a few hours, producing code that was shorter, faster, clearer, and more extensible. Then I made it use the terminal commands to insert or delete multiple lines as a single operation, which made screen updating far more efficient." On July 15th, Emacs 16.56 was released and the final bits of Gosling's code was removed to satisfy UniPress's demand. On September 19th, Emacs 16.60 released with its first patches from the internet. And on October 4th, the Free Software Foundation is born to support 70s hacker culture and the free software movement born of the GNU project. The FSF initially employed developers to write software for the project, which was all licensed under various versions of the GNU public license. December 20th, the first version of Emacs 17.36, was released. Initial work on the 18 series began in October of 1986, but it wasn't until March 22nd, more than a year since the first version of the 17 series, that Emacs 18.41 was released and would be the last major release for quite a while. In 1987, Epoch, the self-described enhanced GNU Emacs with a better interface, began by Alan Carroll. In 1990, the Association for Computing Machinery granted the Grace Murray Hopper Award to Richard Stallman for pioneering work in the development of the extensible editor Emacs. In 1991, Richard Gabriel of Lucid Inc. had hired several people, including one of the key GNU Emacs developers that Stallman credits for delays in 19's release, to fork and write improvements to GNU Emacs. Stallman claims he was never informed of the fork or improvements until Lucid Inc. wanted to merge the features back into GNU Emacs. Stallman wanted only portions of the code rather than all, and this led to the full release of Lucid Emacs and left Stallman to implement the missing features into GNU Emacs himself. It was also around this time that Linux hackers took to using the GNU tools, including Emacs, in their own systems. At this point, Linux was arguably more GNU than Linux, which was the impetus for the infamous Stallman quote. I'd just like to interject for a moment. What you're referring to as Linux is in fact GNU/Linux, or as I've recently taken to calling it, GNU plus Linux. Linux is not an operating system unto itself, but rather another free component of a fully functioning GNU system made useful by the GNU core libs, shell utilities, and vital system components comprising the full OS as defined by POSIX. In 1992, under time constraints and after the development of GNU Emacs 19 was languishing, Richard Gabriel's Lucid Inc. needed version 19 to support their IDE, Energize C++. Gabriel led what he thought at the time to be the basis of Emacs 19, but it was a disaster. No longer waiting on the FSF, and $200,000 later, Lucid Emacs based on an Alpha 19 version of GNU Emacs was released. In 1994, May 27th, the last version of Lucid Emacs is released, and the last bits of Epoch were folded into the project. And on September 13th, Lucid Emacs is no more, as Lucid Inc. files for bankruptcy. With the Lucid trademark in legal limbo, the project was renamed to XEmacs, no relation to X11. On November 1st, and supporting multiple frames in X and hexadecimal editing, GNU Emacs 19.28 is released as the first official release in the 19 series. 1997, September 15th, Emacs 20.1 brought multilingual support. 2001, October 28th, Emacs 21.1 brought terminal color, horizontal scrolling, mouse wheel, sound image, and initial Unicode support. In 2007, June 2nd, Emacs 22.1 brought GTK support, drag and drop, and current, at the time, macOS support. 2009, January 30th, this is the date of the last official release of XEmacs at 21.4.22. And as far as Emacs goes, XEmacs was number 2. And without Emacs, that leaves only one. June 2nd, Emacs 23.1 brought better font rendering, better Unicode support, support for PDF and PostScript files, and more macOS updates. 2012, June 10, Emacs 24.1 brought with it GTK3 support, bidirectional input, and native color themes support. 2013, June 23rd, a preview release of none other than XEmacs, codenamed Kale, based on 21.5, is released, but not a peep since. 2016, September 17th, Emacs 25.1 brought TLS certificate support, embedding native widgets inside buffers, and electric quote mode. 2018, May 28th, Emacs 26.1 brought double buffering to reduce flickering on X, Google Drive, and 24-bit color support. In 2020, August 10th, Emacs 27.1 brought text shaping with harf buzz and image resizing and rotation support without leveraging image magic. 2022, April 4th, Emacs 28.1 brought native compilation of Lisp files and emoji support. September 12th, Emacs 28.2, the latest maintenance release, is out as the last release before this recording. So outside of that, I had really had to trim it down to what would fit into a 10-ish minute segment.
Yeah,
But
yeah, fair enough.
There is a ton that has a little bit to do with Emacs history, but a lot to do with general computing history. Stories that I think you don't really get outside of context, right? Like there's so there's a story, something like real men are quiche eaters or don't eat quiche, something like that. Historical. I'd say historical. It's not that long ago, but there was a kind of a remix of that. Real programmers don't use PASCAL in a lot of terms that I think got thrown around a lot, right? So you had the TRS-80s that got a nickname of Trash 80s.
Trash 80s, yeah.
From this particular story by Ed Post. And he has another, I guess, kind of like segue in this story talking about TECO and how it was a terrible, terrible programming language, but yet it still served as the basis of everything. I mean, everything up to and including Emacs, because while it may not be the same language, they're still doing the same thing.
Right.
So, long story short, go read Real Programmers Don't Use PASCAL. You have to put your history hat on because it's written in, I mean, quite literally a different time, but it gives you a lot of historical context for a lot of the things that are, we glossed over in just a second or two in this story. Also, Jamie Zawinski, who is the author at jwz.org, has a fantastic timeline from TechMac and TMacs. As I mentioned, those macros were gathered together and kind of created to put together the basis of what Emacs would become. Mentioned Ein, which is Ein is not Emacs, and then its successor Zwei, which is in German, right? Ein 1,
Ein is
Zwei
German.
2. And those that was the succession. And there was ZMax, which we didn't even talk about, and Hemlock. Early work on Epoch, in Emacs, Mule. There's a ton of stuff that we didn't didn't really touch on that didn't have a huge impact on what GNU Emacs would become.
Well, that's the one that survived. So yeah,
right. But yet, I think GNU Emacs and XEmacs were really the two big players, besides really pretty much anything that came before Stallman's Emacs. And there's also a video. I've got a timestamp in the notes itself, but James Gosling gives an oral history of Gosling's Emacs, and there are two sides to the story.
Of course,
of where Stallman got the idea that he had the unrestricted license to do everything. So I've timestamped it. Where he goes into what that license was and what it really meant. So I tried to take a little bit of both. Yeah. And kind of, I gotcha. To create a narrative a little bit.
Right.
But there are two sides to that story. And
no doubt.
I wonder what all the truth actually is. There's also Multics, which we didn't really talk about, but also by Bernard Greenberg. There's some traded over ARPANET, right? Which was one of the early internets back in the day. So there's a lot of history. I think like we could have probably done. It'd have been a lot of work, but we probably could have done just a full-on hour.
Yeah, at least another 20, 30 minutes, probably,
At least. And that's not all the links. I've got, under further reading, you'll find just a list of links that you can click on and read more about Emacs
I will definitely put those in the show notes. You'll see them there.
But just it's way bigger than what we've put together here. But yet gives you the idea of where GNU's Emacs came from. And while it wasn't the only one back in the day, it's kind of really the only popular one left.
Yeah, it's the one that is still being maintained. Let's put it that way.
And so still, as you saw, Emacs 28.1 came out in April.
Yeah,
and they're still adding features, emoji support.
Well, and still doing updates. So just came a few days ago, even, and still doing maintenance releases and stuff too. So
as we're recording, 8 days ago they came out with the maintenance release to fix some bugs. So
that's pretty cool.
It is still under active development and active maintenance, but from the rubble, right?
Yep,
there can only be one.
And so I want to take this a step further. I didn't put this in the show notes or in the document, but I said I was going to give my hot take.
This is it. I promised everybody this.
So Leo called me out on this. He said, but here's where we're at. It is probably one of the most full-featured programs that are available. And I don't mean just like text editors. I mean full-featured as far as people turn this into an entire desktop operating system. And
I was going to say,
just live in Emacs all the time.
Yeah.
Because it has a web browser mode. It's got, an IRC client. It's got, I don't know, it has all these extensions and stuff beyond just editing text and living in that land.
Wait. So it's got a bunch of macros?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's all these things that are written to extend it. It's probably one of the most extendable applications that I think exists. And so
and we have TECO to thank for that. It was originally created to be extensible.
And they deliver on it, okay? So I don't want to shortchange that in the least. But here's the problem. Dan doesn't grok Emacs, okay? I love it. But I hate it too. So I mean, we talked about this in the pre-show, where if you like, people knock on Vim and trying to quit Vim or VI. I think this is worse because they show you in the menu how you can quit. And so like Control X, Control C quits, right? Well, at first Dan's like, hey, is that either? And so I'm like mashing the Control X over and over and over again, trying to get the thing to quit. No, that's a Control X and then a Control C to quit.
Control X, comma, Control C.
Yeah.
And then like it immediately quits. And it like, for me, it kind of surprised me.
The light bulb came on, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And just that's the thing about Emacs.
It's my own shortcoming, but I did some research and I figured it out. So, I mean,
There are two ways to get good at Emacs. Having started it back in the 80s, or spending, and I'm not joking, spending a full-on couple of months trying to use it as many days as possible. Like if you could use Emacs a few minutes a day, a couple of months from now.
It's not an overnight transition, folks. That's the other thing I want to say. It is great, and you can learn it, and I learned some stuff, but a week or two is not enough time. Time.
If you can use a keyboard, and you can see using a keyboard to get the job done, Emacs will do that job.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever the job is, if it requires typing, Emacs can do it. Dan said, it's got a browser in there.
I know.
I mean, I was looking into extending Emacs to do Markdown. And I mean, I admit I tried and failed to write all of this history and notes and get the show together in Emacs, but not because Emacs is bad, but because I am not. I think it's because I started in VI and I've used VI for over a decade now.
Same here. Absolutely the same.
So in VI, you can hit escape and then type a couple of letters, which mean commands.
Yep.
And then hit enter, and that will execute the commands. In Emacs, it's slightly different, whereas you use modifier keys, Control or Alt, mix that with a letter, and usually it's 2 in sequence. So as Dan said, just to quit, Control X, then Control C will trigger a quit. And most things are like that. Control something, Alt something, or Alt something and Control something, or Control. So the hard part about Emacs is remembering what all of those are. That's a hard part about VI too.
It is.
You get something in Emacs that you don't get with VI, and I think it's been one of the longest running memes of Emacs, and that's Emacs Pinky. It is a
the
physical
control,
yes,
shift.
It's a physical ailment.
Yeah, like all of those, they make you contort your hand. That's the other problem I had, right? Because it relies a lot on the pinky, and I'll be honest, that's very clearly not the strongest member of my hand.
Yeah, and if you got small hands, you're gonna need some
hands,
help.
But they're not really huge either. So
yeah, I've got cool like lanky piano fingers, so I'm okay with that. But from playing games and then using Emacs lately, it is not flared up. It's not been a lot of pain, but I know that if I were to continue using Emacs a whole lot and using a lot, I mean, it's gonna come back. I guarantee it. That it's just gonna start hurting right along that side of my hand, and it's not gonna be fun. So Emacs Pinky is real. The answer is to set up macros for Emacs on those Logitech keyboards. They have like keys on the side there, that are just dedicated to macros. That's what you need. You need specific dedicated keys. And if you look at some of the pictures that come from the history that are in the list, click on them, then you'll see, I forgot the name of the keyboard, but there was a specific keyboard. Thing had like an extra 20 keys on it. And that's what Emacs was originally programmed on. And,
makes sense, honestly.
Right? And so, not that you didn't use those modifier keys, just that there were more keys to play with that did more things.
Yeah.
So, man, but what a crazy, interesting, not VI journey this was.
Yeah. So it's not for me, at least not where I'm at right now in my learning.
Right. 2 months more. You need 2 more months. And then your pinky will hurt, but then maybe you'll be good at Emacs.
I don't think it's terrible. So VI, Vim still get the win for me.
Okay. Personally, if I had to pick between VI and Emacs, I would choose VI, but only because I'm just more familiar with it. Had I started out with Emacs, 100%, I'd be an adherent to the Church of Emacs. 100%. I'm halfway there. Look, I'm wearing the garb.
I know. You're wearing the shirt.
I'm already a member of something. I don't know. By the way, when you buy FSF stuff, I didn't know this. They send you stickers and stuff too.
Oh, nice. Nice. Very nice.
I got me a GNU and I got me an FSF.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the stuffed baby GNU to come back in stock. I'm going to buy that too because that guy is just, he's too cute.
That is cool. Yeah.
And as memey as it is, like not me, but like meme with a Y on it, right? Like memey as it is, GNU, core utils, and everything surrounding it really does, not an Alpine, play a big part in everything that we do, everything in the distro that I'm going to take a wild guess that you, listener, are running is compiled with the GNU C compiler.
Yeah,
GCC.
Probably. Yeah,
some version or another.
I mean, looking at Void and Alpine, you're probably not. But like,
I was going to say,
that might be it, right?
If you went Void and specifically made the choice to go muscle instead of glibc, GCC, then okay, I'm not talking to you. But everybody else,
Yeah, everybody else.
we're using GCC. Well, the software that we're using,
It's
was-
been compiled there.
yes, was thrown through GCC to give us the binaries that we use every single day.
That's true.
So-
That's true. You don't have to, but yeah, it's definitely probably the most popular.
Let me interject for a moment.
Mhm. Right.
As memey as it is kind of true. So, meh.
Mhm.
So, I threw him a few bucks. I got me a shirt. I had to.
That's
I had
fair.
to. It's important.
All right. Next in the show, everybody's favorite, the browser watch.
Not just Mozilla.
Not just
Browser
Mozilla
watch.
this time, but first up, we are going to talk about Mozilla. And Linux users can enjoy a performance boost with the latest Firefox release. So,
Especially if you're in low memory situations,
Yeah.
8 gigs and below. This is for you.
this is for you. So Firefox 105 will make sure that you do not run out of memory when your system is running low on available resources. So that's in the latest update. But here's the but. The two-finger swipe that was supposed to be available to navigate forward and backwards, it didn't make the cut again. I mean,
I will say,
it's just like 2 times in a row now, and
we've been waiting since the beginning of the season. We started the season talking about Firefox 103, and it was supposed to land, didn't land. Firefox 104, a couple episodes ago, supposed to land, didn't land. Firefox 105, didn't land.
Yeah,
Nope.
And so that didn't make it. That doesn't upset Leo, but it does upset some people out there. So, yeah.
I hate it. I use a Mac for work, and it does that.
Mhm.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because I do a lot of horizontal scrolling.
Well, you can do that with the
And
alt, right?
And then if you do it like too hard, it's like, oh, we just changed your page. And I'm like, you lost my place.
Right.
Annoying.
So I think holding down alt does that for you, if I'm not wrong.
And that's cool. And I will do that all day.
Right.
I will, yes.
That is cool.
Mm.
There's probably a way to change it, but anyway.
I will. I promise.
Also of interest, though, this is interesting. The print preview dialog has the option to print only the current page right from the print preview dialog, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, totally cool.
I get receipts sometimes, and I just like, the thing is like 8 pages long. Like, dude, I don't need your ad. So if I want
CVS,
just that,
you've been to CVS?
oh, that's that problem, but in real life.
I know.
And you're like, why is it a mile long?
I don't know. In addition to those great features, you can always get the security fixes bundled into. You can read more at the release notes, and I'll have a link to that.
So we called it Browser Watch because we're talking a little bit about Edge and a little bit about Microsoft Teams.
Right.
We'll get to Edge. So Microsoft Teams is going away. Fedora
for Linux.
had a bit of
Linux.
Right.
Yeah.
For Linux. Fedora had a bit of a tussle with Microsoft a few months ago with why do you support this platform but not Fedora? What can we do? And Microsoft just said, nah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, we're just not doing that, which will no doubt, it will work best in ye old Microsoft Edge.
Of course it will.
Because why wouldn't it? And that leads me to ask, how else are they going to get you the malware-infested ads baked right into the browser?
Yeeks.
Yeah, Bleeping Computer did a one on this, where the ads that you get, like when you open up Microsoft Edge, and you see, a couple of ads, but you also see some interesting articles. Firefox does this right, but also you can turn off the ads in Firefox if you so choose. These ads in Edge have been leading people to
malware. Yeah, no.
Right.
You can turn it off in Edge as well. Like you can set up Edge to be very Firefox-like, or like, Vivaldi, where you have a start page. There's different options there.
Oh, that's true. That's actually one of the very first questions it asks.
But
do you want it, like,
if you go with the default, that's where you're gonna be, is with the ads, and they're gonna be in your face, and you're gonna be clicking on the malware stuff.
And as of now, I'm sure they've cleaned it up. I'm sure all of the bad players in the arena have been removed.
Yeah.
But there were some bad players in the arena, and I suspect somebody got bit by that.
I feel like it's a game of whack-a-mole, though. You're probably never going to keep up with that.
Just maybe stop having ads in the browser. Maybe.
Well, there's a good idea.
Just maybe that could be a solution. I don't. I'm no security.
It's crazy, Leo. But I think it's a good idea.
They don't pay me for my opinion.
No,
but,
I know.
I mean, I'll give you that one for free. You can just have that one.
So back to the Teams thing. Maybe they're abandoning the applications because Microsoft Teams itself doesn't do great. It stores authentication tokens in clear text in Windows, Linux, and on Macs. All three of them.
That's strike two.
That's a double whammy.
Two.
Yeah, and the list goes on, right? So turning it into a progressive web app probably is really a smart idea on Microsoft's part, because then they've only got one code base to maintain, and everybody's got the same thing, and it's consistent across. It's consistently bad across all of the platforms.
It's fine.
It's all fine.
So I'm taking shots, but Edge is okay. It's mostly fine. I'm not fully opposed to it, but we had a conversation in Telegram maybe a week or two ago. If I had to have Edge, I miss old Edge, the original,
the old Edge. Yeah, right before they discontinued it, right before
Microsoft engine, like it's not Chromium. Old Edge. I miss that Edge. I don't miss Internet Explorer at all.
No, that was.
But
terrible.
I miss old Edge. It was faster.
It was fast
than current Edge. Current Edge is fast. Don't get me wrong.
It's not bad.
But old Edge was. It had some secret sauce in it, and I would take that Edge any day over Chromium Edge. I will say that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna stick to Firefox and Vivaldi. Thanks.
Hey, all right. Now you're speaking my language.
You can catch these great topics as they unfold on our subreddit or our news channel on Discord. linuxuserspace.show/reddit for our subreddit and linuxuserspace.show/discord for our Discord. And, /telegram/matrix/whatever, and you'll find us there too. All right. Leo sent out a tweet today. Today he did. And if you're not following, you should follow us on linuxuserspace.show/Twitter, where you can catch all of our tweets. So the tweet he sent out today was promoting a fundraiser that is now live for Kdenlive. We rely heavily on Kdenlive for this show, so we want to make sure to advocate for this wonderful software that it is.
Yeah, just to give you the 20% Audacity, 80% Kdenlive. So heavily.
Yeah, heavily. Everything that you see on YouTube has been through there at least once. So, giving this great little software a little financial boost would go a long way to making it better.
Yep.
So, for the record here, in their announcement, for the record, on the cards for the upcoming releases are nested timelines, a new effects panel, and improving overall performance of Kdenlive, making it faster, more responsive, and even more fun to work with. So,
I will not say no to a more responsive and performant Kdenlive. Absolutely not. Give me more of that.
And I think the nested timelines and effects panel sound interesting to me. I think those will be. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'll be nice.
They had a new maintenance release. I think that will make the downloading of new effects, which was a little sketchy when they first put it out. Like it crashed Kdenlive a couple times. So, that.
But it really is nice. A full-featured editor that rivals probably some of the professional software that's out there on other platforms too. So,
I mean, as GIMP is to Photoshop, Kdenlive is to DaVinci.
DaVinci, maybe it's not quite, but DaVinci does a lot too.
You got to remember, multi-million-dollar companies,
right?
Free software.
Yeah. So it's one of the best out there, really it is. And especially considering it is up against those big names. Anyway, if you want to help too, you can head on over to the donation page, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes.
It's time for the feedback. We got a little bit of this, and we like to keep it all into a nice, neat little pile and shove it into these topic shows. So, not that we're running long, but
we're running long.
We're running long. So, Mark on YouTube, I just had to put this in there because I wanted to be egregiously obvious in that I wanted to promote my shirt. He mentioned nice Green Day shirt. This is 2 episodes ago. I had a Green Day shirt on, and then he followed up with actually nice Nintendo shirt too. Yeah. Nice shirts all around. And that was the Nintendo he had.
I had the Nintendo shirt. Yep. And I got a new one on today. So I got,
Yeah.
This is Dad, what are Linux clouds made of? And mostly Linux servers, son.
It's very true. And we had an email from Larry, and he says, "Hey guys, I've got a question for you. I searched the web several times and found everything but what I want. I have 3 SSDs with Linux installed, one with Mint Mate 19.3, one with Mint Mate 21, and one with Emacs 21.2. I also have 2 internal drives and 2 external drives that I use for backup. I store everything in folders. I use custom icons on the folders that I use the most. Each of the OSs has 2 folders in my home folder with all the icons I use. I can do it manually, but is there a better way to do this? I admit that I usually only have to do this after a reinstall. I run all LTSs. I would appreciate any help you can give. I thank you for all you 2 do on the show, and I never miss one." Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks for listening, Larry. Larry, I think what you have there is a conundrum. So anyway, seriously though, I think there's a couple of different ways I can think of going at this. I'm not sure what's the best because you've got a couple of different desktop environments, and then you've got a couple of different LTS versions, even though they're LTSs with Mint Mate 19 and Mint Mate 21, you're going to be kind of spanning 2 different Ubuntu LTSs with those. So it's a bit of an issue. You may have some incompatibility things as far as where the configuration files for like storing all of that stuff are, especially between XFCE and Mate. They're going to be different dot files or configuration files that kind of control that stuff. But I will say that potentially carving out a space on, one of those drives, maybe one of the ones that you use for backup, as we'll call it a shared space between all 3 of those systems, at least to get your icons on there, and then you can mount that on any of those, well, all of them. If you mount that on all of them, at least you'll have your icons available to you, and then you can possibly just select them from there. I think that might be the easiest. And then I suppose if you want to get really fancy, you might be able to set up some scripting to do that. But that's getting kind of advanced.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I can't really see much of a better way to handle it than what you've described. But I will ask if you, listening to the show, know a better way to handle it, or you are in this situation yourself and have a process that you deal with, let us know, because then we'll let Larry know. And maybe we can get ourselves a little bit of a collaborative project going on.
Yeah, cool. You can post something in Discord or Telegram or even Matrix and one of those places. And
Dan never forgets a plug. I love it.
How about that? Anyway, that's the best solution I can come up with. But these are problems that us distro hoppers have, I guess. So let's unite and try to get through it.
That's it. Distro hoppers unite. Let's fix this problem. All right. And one last email from Biku. Loving the fresh new season, and the editor series is a wonderful addition to the show. Hey, just finished another one up. Leo asked whether one can stick an Arch sticker on one's computer if one is running Endeavor OS. My take on this is that sticking I run Arch, by the way, on one's computer will be depriving the developers of Endeavor OS from credit and recognition that they truly deserve for their hard work and efforts. That's not an angle I thought about when I asked that question. Very good angle.
But I like it.
You're
right. I
right.
like it too.
You're absolutely right. I need to get an Endeavor OS sticker because I'm running Endeavor OS, not because I need to say I run Arch. Very good. And an interesting new Firefox technology that many listeners will find useful, and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Neural Machine Translation Engine, and it allows the translation to be done locally on the client side in the user's computer without requiring any cloud-based backend. Google. Translation with privacy.
I like it.
Yes. We've got a link. He sent us a link to the Neural Machine Translation Engine for Firefox. It's an add-on, all local.
I
Beautiful.
I love it.
Go get that add-on and use it for translation all the time. I need translation. And I always end up, exasperated, sigh, translate.google.com. Fine. This is going to fix me. And okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Use it for the next at least 2 to 4 weeks. And then I will come back and let you know how well it fared.
Yeah.
And if it can just get the job done. And if it does, subscriber to that add-on for life right there.
So this is one of the things that I love about Mozilla and Firefox right there.
Yes. Privacy respecting solutions to all of the internet's problems. I like it.
And I only know one language, and it's not all that well. So the translations are really key for me.
Good call. He finishes up, you guys will for sure feature Nano Editor sometime during the season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. Yes, we will. I don't know if it's going to be the next one, but it will be 1-1. And
yeah, I think I'm going to make the call right now, Leo. The next time we do one of these editor shows, I think we should do Nano.
Okay. You got it. There it is, from Dan's mouth to your ears. Nano next. It has many useful features. Wait. GNU Nano Editor should be the default editor on every distro, in my personal opinion. It has many useful features, but they are disabled by default. But with a little configuration tweak, Nano can be turned into a bit more visually appealing and functional editor with familiar keyboard shortcuts. Already Control-S saves, so I'm already happy. That's great. And then he finishes up with a PS. I was a bit unsure of the theme music change, but the new one has slowly grown on me. All right. Yeah, I was kind of worried about the music at the beginning of the season, but nobody bit my head off for it.
No, I think people are either growing on it or liked it from the get-go, so that's cool.
We didn't see a huge dip in numbers, so no, I guess.
I really like it, but, I felt a little hasty going into it, but I really like it a lot. So
yeah, more freedom. I like more freedom.
Also, just so you know, I'll have a link to Biku's GitHub page where he's got the configuration for Nano.
Ooh, unleash the true power of Nano.
All right. First of our focus sessions.
Focus.
This is community focus, where we try to focus on something in the community. Anyway, we did a whole episode on Emacs and the history. I want you to go check this out. This is System Crafter's YouTube channel. There are a pile of Emacs videos. Holy cow. I've never seen so focused.
He said in the beginner one, he said like 50?
Yeah,
50
there's a
something?
lot. I lost count. I really did. And it is immersive. If you want to immerse yourself in Emacs and really learn it, I think going here and watching these videos is probably the best way.
Yep.
Start off with the absolute beginner's guide. It's slightly longer than an hour, kind of like one of our episodes.
Yeah.
But
if you can trudge through one of these episodes, you can make it through, an Emacs episode.
It's honestly very well done. I like it a lot. I think all the other episodes are really well done. There's some other GNU topics, and he talks about Geeks, which is a Linux distribution that kind of focuses.
I always thought it was GUIX, but it's not. It's Geeks.
It's Geeks. Yes, and so he focuses on that, and GNU. So there's some really good topics there, and some good episodes. So
will Geeks make it onto Linux user space? Tune in next time.
I don't know if it'll be next show, but no, it definitely won't be next show.
Okay, no. Tune in next time for the announcement. That we're not doing Geeks, but we might.
We might very well at some point in time. Absolutely, I think it's one of the ones we'll probably get to eventually.
Look, if you like Nix OS.
Mm-hmm.
This is the full-on free software FSF version of it.
Yeah,
so it's a package manager in and of itself, but it's also an operating system, just like Nix and Nix OS. Ooh, interesting.
Anyway, go check out System Crafters. Holy cow! Immerse yourself into Emacs. Yeah, I've
never
intense.
seen another one. The Absolute Beginner's Guide to Emacs. I watched it. Emacs is hard. I will probably go through it again.
It was extremely helpful. It was extremely helpful. Yeah,
I don't want to give up, but yeah, I'm VI, so I gotta take off the VI hat and put on the Emacs hat and just start again.
So he's one of those people that actually lives in Emacs all the time.
Yeah, the browser kind of. Everything. Emacs is an OS kind of, yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn.
The file manager, Dured, he's like living in that.
This is the one. Second focus. Time to focus again. I don't know how we did it. I keep, yes. So we started with a GNU type history. We got to end with a GNU type app. And Dan, I asked you before the show. I still don't understand how we haven't done.
I don't know. I have no idea.
The GNU image manipulation program. How have we not done GIMP?
I'm really not sure. I don't know. I don't do much artwork, and I use it. So there you go.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Like, so we were just hawking Kdenlive, right? Like, go give them some money. You should also give the GIMP folks some money too. The reason that is every thumbnail you have ever seen on this show on YouTube or in linuxuserspace.show came straight out of GIMP. So yes, they are absolutely fantastic. I think the biggest complaint about GIMP is that it is not exactly Photoshop.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. Okay, so it does do destructive editing, they call it. Whereas Photoshop, lets you roll back the clock, if you will. Although they're making improvements on that. So I mean,
you got a pretty big history in those XCF files there.
Yeah, it's the layering. The layering is not the same style. It's okay if you don't do a lot of image manipulation stuff. You're gonna be just fine. Just GIMP is gonna get you through. You don't need to purchase the thousands of dollars of Adobe stuff to be able to do this.
Okay, no, you can't even say that, Dan, because you can't even purchase anything. You can
you don't
subscribe
yeah, right.
and pay at least $10 a month to get one Adobe product, and then you can add on $10 a month until you hit, what is it, like $49.99 for the whole bundle if you're not a student. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a lot of money.
Very much.
For 1 month of an Adobe subscription, you could help fund the GNU image manipulation program, GIMP, and help them get new features to GIMP faster.
Yeah.
But I will say, so, I mean, the way that I use it is, I mean, obviously for the thumbnails, I will create a base thumbnail that I will reuse and reuse and reuse. I will, for each episode, I add in tons of things and then remove out what I don't want, issue this thumbnail for that single or this thumbnail for that episode. And I mean, I crank out like 5 or 8
at least, depending.
a cycle. So, and a cycle to me is 2 episodes. So 1 distro cycle, which is a month. So, I mean, we're looking at like, anywhere between 4 and 8 thumbnails, all from the same XCF. I don't have one thumbnail for one episode, one thumbnail for it's all in the same XCF, and I will just all of the assets go on in there, and and then move them around, do a little magic wand here, throw some extra stuff in there. It's pretty good. Is it Photoshop?
No, but it gets you through.
It doesn't. I don't think it needs to be. No. Yes, if you are a professional that works with other professionals that also work with Photoshop, then you'll probably need to buy Photoshop. I get it. You can't get around that. That's not what I'm not hawking that to you.
Right.
But to those that are working alone or maybe with one other person that may be able to bend and use GIMP as well, it's pretty fully functional. It gets a lot of the jobs that I've ever needed done.
Yeah, so for me, like converting files from one format to another. Like compressing things and just like basic cropping. You want to cut out, parts of a thing.
Magic wand tool, bow, done.
It's got a lot of that stuff that's really awesome. And, way back when I used to do everything kind of in OBS and we recorded here and OBS made it to the thing, like the border that went around stuff that I made that in GIMP. And so like I put the text and stuff on there and then I kind of like feathered the edges in and there's a lot of things you can do with it, right? So if you're just a creator like us, it's a fantastic tool.
Yep. Yeah, throw them a $5 every now and then, and just use GIMP if you can get away with it. Why
absolutely.
Not use free software, and works pretty well because it's a GNU episode, so why not?
Well, and it's cross-platform too, just so you know.
Yes. Oh, it works in Windows. It works in Windows. But I don't know about the M1s, but it does work in Mac as well.
Yeah, must definitely work in the Macs. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the coolest things about it is that I do have to use Windows and Mac from time to time, and having familiar tools on those platforms is fantastic. Kdenlive, same deal. So support free software. Do your free software duty. Throw them a $5 if you can.
All right, that brings us to the end here, and next time. So next time, you can find us doing the history of Alpine Linux. If you've been following along, hopefully that's been going well for you.
I hope. It's the opposite of a GNU episode because they've ripped all the GNU out and replaced it with muscle.
Yep.
So, some things like can't just pull down a, regular old binary and double click it and hope it works. It won't.
Probably not, no.
But there are ways around it. Hopefully you found them. If you haven't, let us know, and we can probably get you going.
Yeah, because the documentation is pretty good. There's some community stuff in the wiki to help you along with the desktop environments. We did a fail on a live stream, and that didn't go so well, but we figured out the errors in our ways, and but that's okay. That's how you learn, by us failing.
What I didn't try was not using Wayland in boxes. How could I have not seen that coming? Because you know what happened on my laptop that same night after I installed Alpine? The Wayland session didn't work. You know what I did to fix it? Move to X. And you know what it did? Worked just fine.
Well, that makes sense now, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't occur to me in that live stream, but also, I mean, there are a few of you that were watching There were other people in the live stream.
Yeah, nobody else came up with that.
I don't feel
like
too
right
bad.
after the live stream, actually, I was starting the process during the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
I created a virtual machine in
You said this,
Quick Emu, which is another application that we promoted not too long ago.
Yep.
Quick Emu, it worked fine.
Yep.
So it was totally a boxes thing, and the way it handles the graphics driver, and well, our whoopsie doodle, you learn.
Yeah, you live and you learn, and then you run Alpine on X. That's
But I will say,
the answer.
I got it on my laptop, and
Me too.
I'm running it in Wayland. I'm running Plasma Wayland, and getting all the experience.
It's working.
So we'll give you a few thoughts and whatever else we can cram into the show next time. So in between shows, you can catch us on Twitter, Mastodon. Hey, Mastodon, I realized we didn't have a redirect for that, so I fixed that problem. So
hey.
LinuxUserspace.show/Mastodon will get you there. But we also got Telegram, Matrix, Discord, whatever. Give us our suggestions on the subreddit, and you can join the conversation and talk to us. All the links in the show notes on LinuxUserspace.show. So, Leo, where can we find you?
I killed Geeko, but you can find me with my nose in this book. This is the GNU Emacs manual. Yeah, this one's for the 13th edition from 1997, but surely it's got good information in it, right? I mean, anyway, you can find me.
I think it's that much different.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Leo Chavez and on Mastodon at Leo Chavez at mastodon.social.
All right, and you can find me at KC2BEZ on Twitter and at KC2BEZ at mastodon.technology. See you in 2 weeks when we return to the Linux user space.
I think Mint has stolen a key binding that is a Emacs key binding.
Oh, that doesn't help anything either. Yeah, that is a problem that I think is common.
Yeah, because it's backtick, right? Like to activate menu bar, it's meta, and I'm pretty sure that's a backtick.
It could be.
And I for some, I wanted maximum punishment, so I was like, well, we're gonna do this in the command line. Like if we did VI in the command line.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a GUI VI, but no, why would I do that? So I did Emacs in the VI in the command line, and I cannot activate the menu bar. I've not ever been able to because in Mint, like Alt Tab comes up, like it's the desktop because it brings up what looks like the Alt Tab bar, but it's only the active window. So I think Alt backtick is meant in Cinnamon to let you toggle between instances of the same program instead of
so if you had
all
multiple
programs.
open, I gotcha, multiple windows.
Yeah. Let me see.
Ooh.
Oh no. Watch. Let me open up a new terminal. Yeah, that's what it does.
Yep. That makes sense.
Just the term. Okay, well that's smart on Cinnamon's part, but bad if you use Emacs, because then you got to find another something.
Yeah, no kidding.
And there's nothing. I wouldn't even know where to start to redefine Emacs key bindings.